Well, good morning, my peoples. Good to see you in the house this morning. It is Friday morning, February the 2nd, and this is the day the Lord has made. We came to rejoice and be glad in it. We are once again in our Fully Awake 365 devotional. We are starting a new month today. This is the month of redefining my spiritual practice. As we redefine our spiritual practice, there's only one question that matters. Not is it right? Is it what my sister does? Is it what my wife does? What someone else does? Is it working for me? If it's working for someone else, that's wonderful. But if their methodology does not work for you, it's not yours. And so let's find what works for us, redefining our spiritual practice. Good morning, my sister.
Good morning.
Good to see you. You look like you're going on an adventure today. Are you going spelunking?
Yeah, that's me.
Spelunking. I'm a spelunker today. Where in the world is
my army drab olive shirt?
you're in the Lord's army? Yes, sir. Look at your cat in the background. Being crazy.
She's just joined us.
Look at. Watch it. That cat got devil eyes.
She's very nosy. She's very nosy. She has to know everything that's going on in the house.
That cat. That's that black cat. That you can't cross a black cat.
The other one's lazy.
Well, welcome once again to Fully Awake 365. This is our morning devotion, usually Mondays and Fridays. Tuesday, we do the devotion in person at our connection service, and then Wednesday night, we do it as well in our Wednesday night teaching. We're going to talk today about spirituality in a pandemic, part one. It's an odd couple of days because we were trying to squeeze in two devotions, actually three devotions. And so we didn't have enough room for a prayer and an affirmation on the first 2 days. On the third day of the spirituality in a pandemic, we did have enough room for an affirmation and the prayer at the end. And so I'm going to ask my sister if she wants to say anything or do any kind of greeting, and then we'll have a little bit of fun this morning.
Just good morning, everyone. Happy February. This is Black History Month. This is the month of love. So it's going to be good.
It's going to be good. It's going to be an exciting adventure. And
we're going to have a big time.
We're going to have a big time. And you can join my sister on her spelunking outing today. She's going spelunking at the Boy Scout troop. Okay. So here's a song that I think will bring you some joy today. I will tell you this actor, one of my favorite actors, I think is hilarious. If you've ever seen him dancing, and I'll tell you the name of the actor after this. So if you want to Google like so-and-so dancing, I'm talking about he can cut a rug like Prince, like Michael Jackson. I know that's heresy to some people, but I'm telling you, he can actually get down and dance his butt off. And so it might shock you to know who that is. All right, so see if you recognize the song. It is to a TV show. I doubt that many people will know the artist, but it might bring you some joy today.
Well, we're moving on to the side, to a deluxe apartment in Sky. We're moving on to the side. We finally got a piece of the pie. Fish don't fry in the kitchen, bees don't burn on the grill. It took a whole lot of trying just to get up that hill. Now we're up in the big leagues, getting our turn at bat. As long as we live, it's you and me, baby. There ain't nothing wrong with that. Well, we're moving on to the side, to a deluxe.
All right, that's some joy right there. I saw a bunch of people jumping in. Look at even Dr. Sharonda B knew the name of the actor as well. I love that. All right, talk to us.
All right, let's see. Moving on up, the Jeffersons, Dr. Sharonda. They were saying George Jefferson, Miss Naomi, Bobby, and then of course, Dr. Sharonda was Shimsley Hensley. Is that right? Is that how you Sherman Hensley? Oh,
Sherman
sorry.
Hensley. Shimsley?
Well, that's
Hensley.
Sherman Hensley.
Hold on now. Hold on. We got to have some joy right there.
Don't mess with my Dr. Sharonda. Do not.
You know Dr. Sharonda can handle this. She probably just she was typing too fast. Dr. Sharonda is a brilliant woman. Shimsley Hemsley. When I see you, Dr. Sharonda, Sunday morning, I'm going to give you a big Shimsley Hemsley hug.
Okay, I'm sorry I did not autocorrect quick enough.
Yeah, she did
correct.
have it right.
She
But,
did.
yeah,
She
She said I corrected myself.
She did.
Shimsley. But you know what, Dr. Sharonda, now we have
Hemsley,
joy.
Hemsley.
Now when I see you on Sundays, I've
know
always
what?
had joy, but now I can say
Hemsley is going to be my new prayer language.
Shimsley, the Lord would say to you, Shimsley Hemsley. All right, that's good. Thank you, Dr. Sharonda. That brought me so much joy, Shimsley Hemsley.
And it's all my fault. I wasn't reading quick enough.
That's on Brandy. That's on Brandy.
It's on me. She did correct and say Sherman Hemsley. Okay. Over on YouTube, Billy, Rest in Peace, Dr. Ray, let's see, Dinah Garrett, Laverne, Papa's in there, Pastor Donna's in there, moving on up, Gloria Harris, Lynn Jeffrey, Sharnice, Ben and Vicky, or you're just Ben, excuse me, Sandra, Elaine. But yeah, a lot of people knew the name Sherman Hemsley, which I read wrong. Sorry. And let's see, any other clues here? I don't think anyone actually guessed the artist because that's kind of obscure, right?
It's obscure.
I don't even
Hauser
know
and
it.
Holly are the artists. Who would have known Hauser and Holly? But we all know the song. We all recognize that song. We love that song. Yes. So the actor Sherman Hemsley. If you will Google or YouTube Sherman Hemsley dancing, you are going to see some James Brown moves that you didn't think he could do. I'm telling you, he can get down. So, all right, spirituality in a pandemic. I'm going to jump down about 4 lines at the very top and tell you the 3 things that we're going to talk about in this blog. We won't get to in this post. We won't get to all of them today, but we'll get into the first one. So in this blog that I wrote for the Emory Scholars website, we spoke to several ideas. 1, the silver lining in the pandemic. 2, creative ways to reimagine communal spiritual practice when social distancing is needed. And 3, to offer a new perspective of the Sabbath, or how we honor the Lord's Day together. All right, look down at the 3rd line in that 2nd paragraph. It says, I find a silver lining in this storm, the storm of COVID or the pandemic. This is a space full of both fear and possibility. And here it is. The spiritual well-being for believers and atheists alike is paramount during the pandemic. Spiritual communities have responded in diverse ways to the pandemic. When I speak of spiritual communities, I include our agnostic and atheist brothers and sisters as a spiritual community. Being raised as a Christian, anyone who did not believe like us or who did not believe in God was labeled an unbeliever. How broad this term is. If someone does not believe like us, does this mean they do not believe? Non-religious does not necessarily mean non-believer. Maybe that's what we came to talk about this morning. Is a non-believer someone that doesn't believe like you? And are there any non-believers? Have you ever met a non-believer? And should we rethink our linguistic kind of assignations to those who don't believe like us? If they don't believe like me, does that mean they're a non-believer or an unbeliever? Yeah, that's kind of rude and stereotypical, isn't it? And so people have many different beliefs. And guess what? We have a lot of beliefs that we're not going to keep forever. We are being transformed into that same image by the Spirit of God. And so as we begin to kind of wake up to the bigness of the universal mind, we choose not to use offensive labels like somebody's a non-believer or unbeliever because they don't believe like me or even believe in the ultimate reality that we call God. Interesting. I find many who do not have a spiritual belief in the divine to be very strong believers. Atheists and agnostics alike believe in love, humanity, community, cooperation, and interconnectedness. I love that. From an interconnected consciousness, we can see the human family is desirous of peace and connection in crisis, regardless of belief. So what is the common thing that we find in something like a pandemic? As we're social distancing, we are still social creatures. We need connection. We need to talk to people. We need emotional support, interaction. We need to understand or to feel like we're understood, and then be that empathetic listening for others who try to understand what others are going through. Many are exhausted in the midst of dealing with the challenges of the pandemic. Perhaps the ideologies that separate us might offer might also suffer exhaustion during this time of crisis. What does that mean? So perhaps the things that had separated us before the pandemic, like belief or opinion, begin to bring us back to this common humanity of things that we need. We need love, we need support, we need joy, we need to feel the sunshine occasionally. Those are common things that we share as the human family. All right, the last little part, and then I'll turn it back to you, LaDonna, if you'd like to say anything. This is called a new day demands a new way. As we find ourselves in a transitional space of liminality and uncertainty, the religious practices and rituals that enjoy concrete and absolute expression have begun to consider a more flexible approach. So if our religious practice is specific doctrines and rituals, and which are wonderful, all of us need ritual. We connect to divine through ritual. But when we experience something like a pandemic or tragedy or loss, then that invites this new spirit of flexibility, that we must connect in the way that we connect, how we connect, whenever we connect. And so it brings about a questioning of rigidity. Religion tends to demand certainty. Spirituality is unafraid of entertaining questions and invites abstract thinking. So what is the certainty? What is the absolute thinking? This is the way I do church. These are the clothes I wear. These are the songs I sing. These are the beliefs that we have. Yeah, sometimes when we're thrown a curveball, we have to go, okay, maybe all of us do this a little different, especially in a time of crisis when our options are a little bit limited or even shifted. Spirituality celebrates the unending journey toward truth, awakening, and unfoldment. Religion seems to hold dogma and doctrine as some sort of final destination. All right, my sister, you want to say anything?
Just that there is nothing more annoying or disconcerting than people who do not know how to flow. And I will go back to something our mother always said when we would make a mistake or break something, even if it was something pretty expensive that meant something to her. She would say, people are always more important than things. So people and their souls and their walk and their journey and whatever they need at the moment are more important than any ritual. Like you said, rituals are great. They serve a purpose, but all of those things we do rigidly are not as important as people.
Absolutely. I had, on the backdrop of that, LaDonna, I was this past weekend in Tulsa, Oklahoma, with Reverend Dr. Marlon Lavenhar. He's a Harvard Divinity PhD, who's the senior minister at All Souls Unitarian, which is the church that took in our Bishop Carlton Pearson, when he lost his church, when he had no space to meet. They opened their doors and said, come here and meet, and gave them their own space to meet. And then they did some combined services together. Marlon Lavenhar was a tremendous friend and brother to Carlton Pearson for the last 20 years of Bishop Pearson's life. Marlon and I talked about the challenges. He explained to me the challenges of taking basically this Unitarian church that doesn't have a lot of exuberant worship and praise, and kind of combining that with Carlton Pearson, who is a walking, he's a walking worship leader. Of course, Bishop Pearson is brilliant and a pulpiteer and a prophet and a prince among preachers. But Bishop Pearson is a worshiper first. He likes to worship and have church and clap and sing and dance and shout. And how do you take his Pentecostal expression and put it in with these kind of Unitarians who don't normally have that type of emotion? But Marlon wanted to do that. He wanted to have this combination of this brilliant Unitarian, or gospel of inclusion that Bishop Pearson would call it, and also have that transcendent, exuberant emotional expression that we as Pentecostals have in our worship services. It was quite an interesting combining of two traditions. And so we sat at dinner and talked about it for hours. So it takes flexibility, whatever we're doing, whether we're having new spiritual journey, new rituals, or maybe taken away from our rituals, or whether we're combining spiritual communities that have different levels of understanding how to connect to God. All of that takes a questioning of our rigidity, and it invites tolerance, flexibility, coexistence, and hopefully celebration. And so I hope this is something that brings a little bit of joy to you today, and maybe a little bit of food for thought. I did want to invite everybody Sunday morning. We will have communion service this year, 2024. We're going to have our first Sundays as days of communion. We also, during the pandemic, we didn't do a lot of prayer or, people coming for prayer for needs or just to have a common agreement. We're going to do that again this year. On the first Sundays, we'll have prayer. And so if you'd like to be part of that prayer, you can come this Sunday. If you don't feel to be as close, you certainly are free to wear your mask this Sunday if you want to be prayed for but don't want to get too close to people. So do it your way. But we look forward to seeing you this Sunday morning at Spirit and Truth. We are going to ask the question, if there is a hell, is it eternal? We're going to unpack that on this Sunday morning. If there is a hell, is it eternal? It should be an interesting day. We love you guys. Looking forward to seeing you again on Sunday morning. Until then, go in peace. May God bless.